Something in the way she moved. Hello, hello.
Thank you. Thank you for making this very special moment possible. Eugene. We just met at the corner moment. So it's for sure not the first time here for you on the ZJFT.
No.
You are really a member of the family for many years, I think.
Well, I've known Marcel for a long time from the Grand Theater productions and this festival. I'm not sure the first time I played it, but I've been here. I've played in a barn a couple of times. I played in someone's house. I was at this church today, so I think 4 or 5 times I've been here.
And how was it today to play here?
Oh, it was fun.
You played solo, right?
Yeah.
And what kind of program did you had today? Was it?
I just play what I like to play. So.
And what is that?
I'm really happy there's somebody that wants to hear it. So it's always changing. It's just music I like by different songwriters, some jazz, some country and western, rock and roll. Just stuff I like, whatever, wherever I find it.
Where do you?
It's a research project.
Where do you find your music then?
Well, I mean, the real kind of the heart of the music comes from when I was a little boy growing up. You know, because this is the first guitar music I really started to like and became interested in. Music really meant something. So, you know, that starts with the Beatles and the Rolling Stones, and then it gets kind of more intense with Jimi Hendrix. As the first kind of like Jimi Hendrix and Chuck Berry to me are like the master guitar players. Those two guys, and then Derek Bailey and Charlie Christian. Those are my 4 favorite guitar players. So.
Okay.
So yeah, these days I play a lot of Jimi Hendrix stuff. I like it.
You still do?
Yeah, well, I'm more than ever before. I'm really. So I get into different kind of things where I'm researching something and practicing it and trying to bring my own kind of musical interpretation into it. Sometimes it's the singing, sometimes it's the playing. It just depends. But I try to make it. So I even I've been in a fight with the Hendrix. They have this Jimi Hendrix Rainbow Foundation now that controls all his music in there.
Okay.
They don't like me to record his songs because I changed them. They want me to play them like a cover band. So, but I like to try to find a way to make it so it's someone else's song, but I'm interpreting it in my own way.
Yeah. Can you tell me how you get started to make music and why are you a musician?
Well, I remember the Beatles were on television, and I really didn't give a shit about it. I remember looking at the edge of the living room, kind of like, what are they watching? I didn't care at all. But the next day, all the girls in school were really excited about this thing with the Beatles. And before then, the only way you got girls interested in you had to be good at sports, or you had beating people up. Then some girls might like you. But this was a whole new thing with music. It was like suddenly you could be cool playing music. And of course we all liked the music, and I wanted to be able to play guitar like these people I was watching on TV. I wanted to be Brian Jones. I wanted to have hair like that and everything. So this was quite a kind of a fascination. And of course, the fact that my parents really hated it so much, that just made it even more exciting. I mean, my mother, I don't think, she was a refugee from Nazi Germany, you know.
Really?
Yeah. But I think she hated rock and roll even more than Hitler. I really think so. They were looking for me one year at a Grateful Dead concert. They were trying to find me one night because they went to a movie at the university, and then they were like, my brother says, oh, the Grateful Dead are playing over there, and that's where Eugene is. So they went over to look for me, and my mother was like so upset about these hippies. She said, I wish Hitler was around to get rid of these hippies. I mean, and I was shocked to hear her say that, because they killed off people in her family. So no, she hated rock and roll right until the day she died. So, you know. But something about that is when you play a kind of music and then the older generation doesn't like it, people don't know what they're missing now, because the thing is, now you hear young people go, "Oh, my parents turned me on to the Velvet Underground." It's a whole new thing now, you know. Dad has his special room with all the rock records. So this was a kind of, so that's the heart of, that's one main area is coming out of that. And then at a certain point I got really interested in jazz, and that's a very technical and kind of much more musicianship involved in. You really need to learn to read music. You can't get by the way you can as a rock musician. And that really got me thinking a lot about more advanced things in music. As a result, I really stopped listening to rock and roll for a long time. I finally got back into it, you know, with some Captain Beefheart or this or that, but I kind of left it alone, and I got into playing jazz, and I was learning all the different styles kind of at once. And, you know, when I recorded my first solo guitar music, it was not free form, because it was there were compositions, there were ways it was structured. It wasn't completely improvised. But to a lot of people, it just sounded like they didn't hear the music in it at all. Of course, now a lot of people like it, but that I started recording with things like that. A lot of people weren't aware of my background, that I had a background playing in garage bands and coffee shops, playing all acoustic blues and all this. I'd done all this different stuff, so eventually I started getting interested in bringing that back in. When I was living in New York and playing a lot of improvised music and free music with John Zorn and people like that, it was like when I started, I decided I wanted to play country and western music, which I always really liked and always played, but I wanted to combine it with free jazz, which nobody was doing and everybody thought was a crazy idea. And the reaction, like with the people I was playing with in New York, it was like my mother with rock and roll. They were really horrified, so that got me excited all over again. When I started traveling around playing a lot of concerts with this combination of stuff, I realized I had finally done something original. Before that, somebody could say, "Well, why should I listen to you? I can listen to a Derek Bailey record." And deep down I thought, well, Derek Bailey's better than me, so that's probably true. But when I started playing country and western records, people were music and mixing it with this weird stuff, people would say to me, "I like both those styles. I never thought I'd hear anybody combine them." And nobody else had, so I thought, well, I have this kind of to myself now. And so that was the beginning of a kind of a feeling that I had something unique to offer. Now, I mean, there's lots of really great musicians just kind of imitate other people and are kind of looking for their own thing. So there's nothing wrong with it. That's how you learn to play, I think. Yeah. So.
And you are living in New York now, or where do you live?
No, I left New York shortly after I started with this country music because nobody liked it. And, I couldn't find anyone to play with. The drummer was the most important thing. All the drummers I knew said, "Oh, I can play country music," but they couldn't. They didn't know how to do it. But I met a drummer from North Carolina, from a smaller town. So the problem with some place like New York City is it's very specialized. Guy plays jazz. It's the greatest jazz musicians in the world are living there and playing. So you can't just be a local guy playing jazz and playing in other bands like you might in, this guy was David Licht, he was from Greensboro, North Carolina, and he had played in country bands, rock bands, jazz bands. He played any guys in a town like that, they play lots of different styles because there's a possibility. There was a salsa band going on in Greensboro involving a bunch of local musicians. None of them two guys were Cuban. Everybody else were just people that were interested. So this guy knew how to do it, and that was kind of the beginning. I combined him with some different people, and we created this band. First we called it the Chadbournes, and then we changed the name to Shockabilly. And that was completely kind of a random thing because I had gotten a job for the band. I used to get jobs for the band. They wouldn't even ask for a tape. I would say, "Oh, I have a rockabilly band, you know, they country and rockabilly, really classic stuff." And they would go, "Okay, you can play Friday night." And then we'd go in there, you know, and we'd be playing country songs, but like with crazy solos, and Tom Cora on the cello. And this guy said, he took me out in the street and he said, you know, I'm losing my walk-in trade, which is, you know, these people that walk in and go, what the fuck is going on? And then they leave, you know. So he said, I thought you said this was rockabilly. So I said, no, I told you shockabilly. I don't know where that came from. But then the organ player, Kramer, he said right away, we need to change the name to shockabilly. I said, well, the name we had was terrible, the Chadbournes. Everybody thought it was like a gospel band, or we were all brothers or something. So we changed the name, and then we started doing more psychedelic music too, but also kind of reinterpreting it, doing different things with it that were...
Okay.
Yeah.
And you are just not playing the guitar, right? You play all kind of instruments, right?
Well, mostly guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah, mostly guitar.
But you also play...
I started inventing these strange kind of noise instruments. It started with the electric rake. And this was just, you know, like a harken. So this was just something I did one night because, you know, in North Carolina they have all these trees and God damn it, you know, this... Starting in a few weeks, you're just raking all the time, or else your house is covered with leaves.
Yeah.
So the rake broke, and I thought, I'm going to put a contact mic on this rake tonight at the club, just for the hell of it, and put it through the fuzz box and everything. And people really liked it.
Me too.
Yeah, people, you know, and I finally, you know, I don't do it all the time. The thing that kind of stopped it was the airlines started getting really fussy about how much luggage you could carry. So I couldn't bring as many cases, so I had to start leaving things behind. So I started like, I would have a rake over here and then I would leave it at someone's house. So I would just take the pickup. I mean, I had a girl come down to the train station with it. She says, you left the rake. I said, no, you can have it. Oh. But we had an electric toilet plunger and just a lot of crazy things that we did as part of the show, and I still mess around with that so much sometimes.
Yeah.
But then I started playing banjo. Then it's like, oh, you're two instruments to worry about, so I'm not that into that anymore.
And you're also singing, right?
Yeah.
Can you sing for me a little bit?
Oh, you want me to just sing?
Just something, what you like. About the situation, hilly-billy, country, ZJFT song.
Well, see, to me, singing is really, the lyrics of a song are really, they really should mean something. I mean, every song I sing, it has to be about something that I care about. Some of them are really political. A lot of songs are about love, relationships. That's a really great topic. But sometimes someone says, why don't you just make up a song as you go along? But I don't do that. I work, if I'm writing my own lyrics, it's absolutely insane. I work on them over and over. When you sing something live, then sometimes you change one word because it's easier to sing, or it comes over better in a certain way. You're kind of always developing it. So
yeah. But you sing like also about the political situation now happening in the States, but also maybe around. What interests you, and
well, I mean,
what's coming
classic protest songs. Like I'm working on a Phil Ochs tribute album right now, and like the songs he wrote are all about the '60s and '70s, but most of what he writes about is about today too, and that's basically what happens with these types of songs. It's the same old shit over and over again. So it's not like you really need to, you know, when Trump was first elected, I had a weekly show at a bar in Raleigh, and one of the things we were doing is every week we would do a different parody song based on something stupid he was doing. Okay. So we did, you know, Sunshine of Your Love, Sunshine of My Tweets, and various things. And the bands always liked learning these different songs, and then we would do these versions of them, and my daughters were also involved in this band. And then one of my daughters, who's like, I always follow her suggestions because she's really smart, she said, I don't want to do any of these songs about Donald Trump. I don't want to be thinking about him while I'm on stage. I said, yeah, why should he fucking take over everything all the time? So then we stopped doing that. And, Yeah, like we were doing Nazi punks fuck off with Nazi trumps and this stuff, and she was like, I don't even want to do that anymore. So, and we just do that. That's a popular request number, believe it or not. So can we do a bluegrass version of Nazi punks fuck off? And these people say, I never thought I'd see that live. And it's like, well, it doesn't sound like the original record. It's not like really.
That's cool.
Anyway, so it's a kind of a doing political music, but not always having to answer whatever crap is got. Somebody years ago, this started also like when you remember everything with Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky and I bet you're going to write a great song about that. I'm like, why do I have to? There's no reason to write a song about that.
Yeah.
So it's not like a kind of a guy always doing some topical thing.
Yeah. And what do you like to sing about love? What is it?
There's just lots of good songs. I mean, most of it is about having your heart broken, but there's also some just really beautiful love songs, or it's just a topic that, I mean, of course, it's something that people write really great songs about. There was a guy in one of my bands, he said, I don't want to play tonight. I said, how come? And I said, because my girlfriend broke up with me. And I said, you know that if guys stopped playing when their girlfriends broke up with them, there'd be no music. And then I said, you're missing one of the great opportunities, which is to unleash all your emotions, everything you feel through your music tonight. I said, it's going to get to somebody, but he just, I can't take it, I'm going to leave. So someone like that's not really serious.